Hi friends, well it's been a few weeks since I've had a chance to sit down and put something together. Sermon writing tends to do that to me. But I've had a chance to visit all the groups in the past few months. The main thing we've been focusing on is getting people talking. So we've covered setting the tone, positioning yourself in the group, as well as how to prepare for your studies. Now more recently there have been two things that I've been trying to encourage everyone to do. Now, the first thing is to summarize the answer to the question before you move on to the next question. Now, what that does is it draws together all the different strands of all the answers, and it gets the collective knowledge of the group. And if we can do that, it usually is far better than anything that any one person can come up with, unless you're Don Carson. Now, what this means is that you'll have to make sure that you're listening carefully, taking notes as people are talking, so that you can do that summary at the end. Now, the second thing that I've been talking about is putting questions in your own words. So the next few weeks, what we're going to do is a few segments on the art of leading through questions. As you can imagine, there are heaps and heaps of research in this area, not only for the world of corporate leadership, interview techniques, sociological studies, all that stuff. The point is, though, this. The way that we ask questions will determine the response. The way that we ask questions will determine the response. Now, the stuff that most of us know is what I would call primary questions. So who, what, when, where, why, how. Stuff you learn in primary school. And maybe we know the sort of secondary questions as well. So whether the question is open or whether it's closed. So an open question being something like, what do you think? So it's got an open end to it. Or a closed question, was Jesus good? It's just got one or two answers. Now, we might also know things like listening to the pros and cons of a statement. Those are all secondary questions. Now, if we ask primary or secondary questions, we're going to get primary, school, or secondary responses. So they're not necessarily going to be very deep. And deep is what we're looking for. So, instead of asking primary or secondary questions, what we're looking to answer or get the questions to is tertiary stuff. Now, the first example that I'd like to give for this week is called SWO, or SWO. So it's really similar to pros and cons, so you've got strengths and weaknesses, but the O there is what gets us deeper, and that's observation. So you list the pluses and the minuses of the statement, for instance, a statement being following Jesus. And the pluses for that are that you know that you're loved by God, holy, blameless, righteous, something like that. And cons might be, or minuses, dying to yourself, dying to your sinful nature, that kind of thing. Now, when we go one step further for the observations, you find things like maybe these things are actually all positive. Dying to yourself is a good thing. Or for all of these things, they're actually all countercultural to what we've been raised to believe. So those are some observations. Now, from Ephesians specifically, you could say that you can do all of those right things, but you wouldn't be under God's grace if you don't follow Jesus. That's an overall observation. Now, that's the important bit there. I think you guys get the idea. Now, either way, the results that we're talking about is what we call higher level thinking. And if it's done well, it should generate some good discussions. So again, the main aim of the series is to equip you with a selection of different methods of questions to get different results. Now, we'll keep building on this concept next week. Until then, peace be with you.